Okay, so for this project, I've asked you to come up with a story and or a pattern that is exponential. And if you want to get pushed towards the 7 or an 8, you need one that is increasing and one that is decreasing. So what I have here is some examples of just like what the patterns might look like to begin with. So over here, we've got an increasing pattern. And look at what's happening in the table here. We've got 4, then 20, then 100, then 500. In this case, what we're doing is we are multiplying by 5, right? So our starting value is 4. That's going to be a tiny little value somewhere around here. The next value is going to be 120, so like 1, and it's not really going to be that much further up along here. 2, 100, 3, 500, and so what we're getting is this nice curve that's going like that. So I could sketch in that curve for us. So you need some sort of story that is actually going to match with this pattern, right? You can't say every day I walk 2 miles because that's just going to get you a straight line. You need something that's going to be increasing quickly where you're multiplying by 5. First there were 4, then 20, then 100, then 500. Obviously you do not have to use these numbers, but you do want to use something that would match this. For a decreasing pattern, it's a similar idea, but it needs to have this kind of dramatic curve. It's just that this time it's going to be decreasing because in this case, we're going to start at 200. After one time we're at 140, then we're at 98, then we're at a little bit less than 70. So now it's doing the same kind of thing, it's just decreasing this time. So you're going to have to come up with some sort of story where you decrease quickly and then it kind of slows down as you are moving along. So what kind of things might we use for this? Well, a pattern might look like this. Over here, you're going to start with 4, then you multiply by 5, you get 20. You multiply by 5, you end up with 100. Here, we've got 200 to start with. Then you multiply by 140, so you multiply by 0.7, and you're going to get less and less, and notice that it's decreasing as you move along. So these are each examples of just what you could do with a visual pattern. If you want to talk about a story, for story, here are some examples. For an increasing function, you might have something like a population, where first there were 4 squirrels, then there were 20 squirrels, and then there were 100 squirrels, or like a bacteria kind of growth. You could talk about the amount of plants or food. The first year there were 4 crops, then there were 20 crops, then there were 100 crops, etc. Interest on money, either with like student loans or the amount that you were saving, kind of like Fry's bank thing. First he had 93 cents and then he had, $4.3 billion after 1,000 iterations of this. COVID numbers, unfortunately, do go like this, but you could probably also talk about like vaccinations. First there were a couple people, then there were more people, then there were a lot more people. Those are examples. For decreasing, again, you could do population. So like people moving out of the country. This happens a lot. There's a lot of people that live in the country, then there's fewer and fewer. Depreciation in the amount of a car. We did this example in class where you had a car that was like $30,000 and then it was worth $24,000, et cetera, and like it's decreasing like this. Time in a race, chances are you're not going to get down to 0 in a race, but first you might lose a lot of time and then a little bit less and a little bit less, and your time is getting better. Leaves in, not falls, but like the fall. So like a tree starts out with all of its leaves and then it loses a bunch of them and then it has fewer and fewer and fewer, etc. So those are all examples. Hopefully that helps you. We will work on this project again Monday in class, so please let me know if I can be helpful.